Good morning, everybody. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Barbie Zern. I'm an enterprise agile coach with the Agile Practice. I'm joined here today by the entire Agile Practice team. We have Dan Moran, our Agile Practice lead, and Danny Haddadi, our Agile coach. I'm very excited today for two reasons. First, all 121 of you are making history today by setting the record of the most attended Agile Community Forum in its entire history. So if you could give us some clap emojis, confetti emojis, that would be awesome. Second, and most important, we're welcoming a very special guest who has deeply influenced how many of us think about agility, not just as a process, but as a mindset. So I first came across Dr. Ahmed Sidki through a simple but powerful visual on the difference between doing agile versus being agile. Some of you have likely seen this visual because we've used it in countless agile training courses, and every time it sparks the same reaction, a vivid and profound light bulb moment. We have included this visual and we will share this in the chat so that some of you who are curious can see it. But this image doesn't just clarify a concept, it shifted how we teach, how we coach, and how we lead. And that's the kind of impact Ahmed has had across the Agile community. Dr. Sidki, also known as Dr. Agile, isn't just a thought leader, he's a bridge builder between the essence of agility and the real world challenges of organizations like Capital Group. He's the co-founder of the International Consortium for Agile, also known as IC Agile, which he founded in 2010. And he's currently the head of business agility at Riot Games, where he helps scale agility across the enterprise. What I really appreciate the most is that Ahmed doesn't just talk about agility, he embodies it. He challenges us to go beyond frameworks and tools and to ask, who are we becoming as we evolve? In this Agile Community Forum, we invite you to lean in, be curious, and let yourself be inspired because we're about to hear from someone who doesn't just teach agility, he lives it. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Ahmed Sidki.
Thank you, Barbie, for that grandiose introduction. You've set the bar a little too high, but let's get started. We have a tight time frame, and there's a lot I want to share with you guys. So again, thank you all for having me, and let's dive right in. So we're going to talk about business agility and AI, and we're going to talk about culture. We're going to talk about a bunch of stuff. But of course, any good presentation has to start with a story about United Airlines, right? Whether you have a love-hate relationship with United or a hate-hate relationship with United, I'll leave that up to you. But in 2008, and some of you may know this story, so bear with me. But in 2008, a musician named Dave Carroll got on a United flight, and he had his guitar with him, and he wanted to take the guitar on, but they told him no, you got to check it in. So reluctantly, he checks it in, and he sees the baggage handlers like throwing the guitar, and he tried to like, hey, a flight attendant, help me out. And it's like, sir, sit down. When you get to your destination, customer service will manage this, right? Got to his destination, opened the guitar, and the guitar was damaged. The guitar was broken. And he was really pissed. And so he got into a year-long battle with customer service. And all he wanted at the end of that was compensation for his guitar and an apology. That's it, right? After a year-long battle with customer service, they denied him the request. They refused to compensate him, and they cited many policies and whatnot. Frustrated as hell, he promised the last customer service agent that I'm going to write a song about United. And they took it as whatever. And he wrote a song called United Breaks Guitars. I'm going to give you a quick glimpse of this. Should have known with someone else and got because United breaks guitars. So United Breaks Guitars, and you can look this up, hit #1 on iTunes, trended on YouTube, and created $180 million PR nightmare for United. All right. And some of you may remember in 2017 where they dragged a customer off the airplane. Do you guys remember that? And it cost them $1 billion in market value overnight. Now, the reason I'm telling you this story is because we are living through a really important paradigm shift right now. And it's not just AI. There's something even grander than AI, right? Which is we are moving to a time and age where customers have power that they've never had before. 40 years ago, if United broke his guitar, he'd just have to live with it, right? But through the internet, through Reddit, through YouTube, through Twitter, through X, through all of these different things, there is power today. And this power shift we can feel. You can feel it. And there's countless stories like the United story around Zoom and Amazon and Apple. I mean, if you've ever got part of the Apple swap program where they swap out your battery, that was because a 17-year-old got pissed and talked about it on Reddit, right? Like that's the power customers have today. And a gentleman named Steve Denning, an author in Forbes, called this, we're living through the Copernican revolution of business. Now, you may all know the Copernican revolution. I hope you all know it from grade school, right? Maybe high school, but anyway. The idea here was moving this mindset or this belief that the world had, right? Which was that the earth was the center of the universe and everything revolves around it, to what we understand today, that the sun is the center of our solar system and we revolve around it. Now, I'm reminding us this took 300 years to really settle in as an idea because it was deeply ingrained in society, religion, culture, and all that. Today, we are living through, we are in the middle of a Copernican revolution in business, where we're moving from a paradigm and mindset where the company thinks that it is the center of the universe, that it is attracting customers to it, that they're my customers, retention, all of those kind of things where, again, some SaaS products built business models around this idea that I can lock you in and the cost of change is going to be so high that you're mine forever. Like as if the customer revolves around the company, to what we're living today, each one of us as an individual, right? Where no, the customer has power and the company is revolving and orbiting around the customer in service of them, right? And it's not just any service like customer service. No, it's this idea that we are fighting as a company on behalf of an underserved customer. We are passionate, we care about this, and that if you're not fighting hard enough, there will be other companies that will fight harder, right? And today, disruption of 100-year-old companies happen in a matter of 5 to 10 years. And so we are living this reality today. And I wanted to start with this because this is the big why. This is really the thing that we all need to think about. We, and I love the chat, we exist because of our customers, right? That is, now, again, there's a big difference between living this and saying it, and it's hard. And I say it's hard because it's really, really hard. And one of the things that I want to zoom in on today is that if you believe in this, if you believe in this paradigm that, okay, the customer is the center of the universe, we're in service of them, we're fighting on their behalf, but you need to also understand that the customer isn't static. They're changing all the time. This picture isn't actually accurate. That customer is moving, and you got to be in orbit moving around them in service of them constantly. So this idea of agility is not a choice. If you as an organization decide to truly be customer-centric, not on paper or in values, but decide that we are going to live and die by how we satisfy, how we are not just, again, satisfying, but customer-centric. Everything revolves around the customer. Business agility is not a choice anymore. It's a necessity. Now, definitions are interesting. So let's define what business agility is, right? Business agility is a set of organizational three things, right? Capabilities, behaviors, and ways of working that affords you three things: freedom, flexibility, and resilience. Why do I need those three things? So that you can achieve your purpose, whatever your purpose is, right? And the key words are those next 6 words: no matter what the future brings. Now, I'm a visual person. I don't know about you guys, but I've always wanted like to help people visualize what business agility looks like. And I stumbled upon this video years back, and I put it in all my presentations. And this video is from parkour. Parkour is this sport of no barriers, right? It's obstacle course training. But notice here, like whatever comes my way, whatever chasm, whatever thing, I am going to jump over it. I am going to keep on it. Even if I fall, there's no problem. This is agility. And if you can imagine like that cameraman being the company and the customer's in a constant state of motion, you need to be able to be in that state of motion, again, let alone probably get ahead of it and all that, but it's hard to video that. But anyway, the point is this idea of freedom, flexibility, and resilience is critical. Freedom lets you take action. Like freedom from what? Well, all these bureaucracies, outdated rules. Like if an opportunity comes your way, are you free enough as an organization to take advantage of that, or to avoid a threat, or to shape a new direction? Or are you handcuffed to some stuff? 2, flexibility. Things are going to change. Change is a constant. We've been saying it for years. We live it. Everything around us knows this. Can you adapt? Can you experiment, right? Knowing that everything you planned for will change, do you have the flexibility that will let you adapt? And most importantly, resilience. Because if you understand freedom and understand flexibility and start to experiment, you are going to fail by definition, right? That's the key to innovation. The question is, do you have the resilience to learn from that failure, turn them into lessons, recover, get up on your feet, and like bring it on, right? Now, I'm not here to paint business agility as like, la la, this is going to solve all your problems here. Absolutely not, right? I'm not trying to say that at all. I am trying to help you understand how important it is. And I'm going to give you a metaphor for this. I don't know if you like like racing or not, but play with me with the metaphor. Your organization is like a race car, and we want to win the race. Every organization wants to win the race, and the race is getting fiercer and fiercer. Now, let's assume we win the race, first place, we won. We're not going to stand there and say, hey, we won because we have great tires or great wheels. Absolutely not. I mean, it's a factor. It can impede you from winning, but it's not the reason we won, right? The reason we won is a lot of different things: the driver, the strategy, the vision, like there's the engineering, like so many things go into winning. But what I'm trying to tell you is business agility are the wheels of your organization, right? They enable the organization. They are a critical success factor. They can impede your success, but they are not the whole car, right? So the business strategy, product, leadership, vision, product market fit, pricing, competition, all of those things come into winning. I don't want us to undermine those things, but you can have all those things and lose because of your lack of agility as well, right? And that's the key message here. All of those things are necessary, but not sufficient. And business agility is essential, but again, it's not everything, right? So they all come together to make us win. But imagine if you have all these investments in the best engine, best pit crew, best everything, and I didn't invest in agility. I didn't invest in my wheels. And again, different cars, different companies, different situations, domains, industries will need different levels of agility. And that's okay. We need to understand that. Actually, there are 4 principles for business agility. Number one, it's a continuum, not a state, meaning you don't, it's not an on and off switch. It's like, congratulations, I got agility now. Like, got agility. Right? Like, no, it's not an on and off switch, right? I mean, you're going to have more of it, less of it. It's sort of like athletic ability, right? If you are training for a marathon, you're going to get better and better. If you, okay, this is my rest season, I'm going to get worse and worse, right? So it depends. If your organization is practicing agility, you're going to have more agility. If it's not investing in it, you're not. And principle number two, range of excellence. It doesn't have to be the same all across the organization, right? HR may need more agility, may need less agility. Like finance may need more, may need less. It depends your product organization. So there is a range of excellence in your organization. Number three, that there are thousands of ways of achieving agility. There's no one prescriptive way. And number four, and the most important, that it all boils down to behaviors. That's what agility really is. If you want a magnifying glass and you look into the organization, you'll see how people behave. And that will tell you, are you agile or not? We actually did research. You can't read this, don't worry about it. I'm going to show you in a second. But there are over 80 different behaviors that research has shown that really magnify or demonstrate or capture agility in an organization. Now, interestingly, over 50% of those behaviors are manifested in leaders, a very small percentage in executives, and a larger percentage in everyone in the organization. Now, leaders here are not referring to just executives or senior leaders. Anyone who leads. If you lead a team, you're a leader in that scope, right? And you need to exhibit these behaviors. Again, just to zoom in on some of them, like everyone proactively searches for opportunities to satisfy and delight the customer, right? Executives tailor funding to the frequency and type of work, right? Leaders develop people to increase in their ownership and accountability. Now, I'm not going to ask you here to memorize 84 behaviors to understand agility, right? So if you have those 84 behaviors, what we wanted to do, we created a cultural model, a model that helps not prescribe what business agility is, but describe it, right? Models that are used for understanding, predicting, communicating, these are what's called descriptive models, right? Versus prescriptive models that tell you, here's the recipe for what to do to be agile. I don't believe in prescriptive models for agility because what we just said, there are thousands of ways to achieving agility. So which one am I going to give you? No, we want a cultural model, a descriptive model, and a model, which is very important, that can measure agility, right? And so doing that, we found that there are basically 5 main domains of agility, right? Engaged culture. So when I walk into an organization, I want to know if it's agile or not. These are the things I look for. I don't look for sticky notes or 2-week iterations or any of that. I look for, do we have an engaged culture? Do we have responsive customer centricity? Do we have people-first leadership? Do we have flexible operations? And do we have value-based delivery? Inside of each one of these are 3 to 4 different organizational capabilities. I mean, do we have the ability to adapt our strategies seamlessly? Do we have the ability to champion our customers? Do we have the ability to act as one organization? Like, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All right, I think someone unmuted. All right, anyway, it happens. So the question becomes, when you look at these capabilities, that's what I want you to think of when you think of business agility. All right. So think of that parkour picture that we just saw. He or she doing parkour, they have to have certain capabilities to be able to jump and land on your feet, right? To be able to fall and get up. It's the same thing. An organization that has agility needs to be able to unleash workflows creatively, needs to be able to prioritize, et cetera, et cetera. All right. And that's really, when you think about business agility, it's the behaviors, the 18 capabilities summarized in these 5 domains that ultimately give you freedom, flexibility, and resilience. All right. I'm going to shift gears and then I promise I'm going to tie these things together. But we got to talk about AI, folks. Everyone's talking about AI. So let's talk about AI, right? And again, I love to start with definitions because I think those are important, right? What is artificial intelligence? It's a computer system that does two things very uniquely than typical computer systems or algorithms. One is that it learns from data or experience and can change its behavior, right? So a regular code, a regular algorithm will execute the same steps every time. AI won't. All right. Now, number two, it performs tasks that require what we would call human intelligence, like understanding language, recognizing patterns, making decisions, right? If you remember back in the DOS days or the like early programming days, there's a certain set of defined inputs or commands that you give it. But if you just typed in English, like, hey, please, can I play a game? It'd be like bad command or file name, right? Like, I don't understand what you're saying. So AI can recognize language and turn it into a certain set of commands. Those are the big differences. Super quick history lesson because it's important, right? AI is not new, right? It started in the 60s with the first chatbot. Again, we know there's like robots that play chess and can vacuum our floors. We have recommendation system. All of this is called AI, by the way, right? Our iPhone Face ID, Siri, all of this is called AI, but it's called traditional AI. Okay? Traditional AI, like any of these on the screen here, are built for a specific system, meaning you cannot go up to your Roomba or whatever robot vacuum cleaner you have and say, hey, tell me the weather today. Like, I wasn't built for that, right? Even the smartest chess kind of computer can't write a paragraph for you for an email. Like they were built for very specific tasks. The big transformation that happened was in 2022, which is the introduction of what we call Gen AI, generative AI, right? And this learns from massive data sets across all different topics. So it's a thing that learned all the things, basically, and it can generate new outputs, and it's based on pattern recognition. That's what I want you to understand. Let me give you an example. If I ask you, finish this sentence. Once upon a, you can put it in chat or not. I don't know. You're probably eating lunch, whatever you're doing, right? Once upon a time, right? Everyone will say once upon a time. Why? Because you've been, quote unquote, trained on this phrase 1,000 times, right? But if you take a moment and find someone that has never heard this phrase, once upon a time, most probably they wouldn't say time, because actually this phrase up till here, place-related pronouns like once upon a hill, a mountain, a shore, actually could make more, yeah, farm, right? Right? Like it actually, if you've never been trained that it's once upon a time, time doesn't make sense in this sentence. Okay? Now, we've all been trained on this, so once upon a time makes total sense. But if I have something like this that has a lot more probabilities, right? The cat chased the maybe mouse. But what if the original story was the cat chased the laser pointer, right? AI could guess wrong and yet sound perfectly reasonable, right? And it will sound confident, but it's still wrong, all right? And this is why we need to verify the outputs of AI just like we would verify the outputs of someone who works very quickly, but we don't fully trust, right? And basically, this is how it works. It takes sentences, finds the probability of the next word, and then takes the whole sentence back in, find the probability of the next word, the whole sentence back in, and so forth. It doesn't always pick the top one, if you notice, because there's a lot more complexity in this. I'm simplifying this very drastically. But all of this is happening, and there's a lot more in the background to tell it, like, listen, this sentence is English and we're using the queen as a noun and it's the tone is this. So all of those play weights in which of my probabilities to pick. Now, why am I sharing all this? This is not a class about AI, right? But we need to understand what this technology is because there is huge amounts of debate right now in what can this technology do. Here's what I want to invite you to think about Gen AI as revolutionary. Think like you have an infinite number of hyper productive interns, right? They can pull information, explain things, they can even write code. They don't truly understand everything, right? They generate answers by predicting what most likely will come based on the data they've been trained on. But reality is there's no built-in truth detector, right? Training data has limits, context gaps. That's why there's prompt engineering and people learn about these things. And there's no real-time verification. Now, don't misunderstand me here. This army of interns changes everything. Everything. But we need to understand how so we can have a healthy use of AI. So when we look at the different types of work, there's task work. Task work is known as repetitive routine work. Task work was defined originally in work theory as mechanical or physical activities. Today, we have digital task work, things that we do that are mind-numbing. We just have to do them, right? Then there's knowledge work. Knowledge work are tasks that require cognitive capability, problem solving, right? There's creativity. A lot of it is analysis and pattern recognition, by the way, right? That is a lot of how we do knowledge work. But there is new stuff. And AI is not great in the new stuff because it only can recognize patterns from what it has been trained on. Now, robots and automation, factory automation came and automated sort of task work, right? Now, people are thinking today, oh, AI is now the automation of knowledge work, okay? And I'm going to challenge that in a second here. But I want to first introduce the third type of work, which I think is very, very important, human-centric work, right? And this is actually the most type of work that we have a deficit in inside of our organizations because we're so busy with the other types of work, right? But this is about deep human understanding, emotional intelligence, empathy, interpersonal skills, team building, ethical judgment. It shows up in leadership, in vision, in motivation, in change management, not programmatically, but hearts and minds. What do we do with this? Well, here's our stance on this. You automate task work, digital, physical. By the way, as big of a revolution that's happening in Gen AI, a bigger revolution is happening in robotics right now, right? So task work needs to be automated, whether it's physical robots or digital AI, totally fine. Knowledge work should never be automated. That is my stance on this. Why? Because the technology, if you fully automate it, you have removed the human element from it. There is no way to verify or validate what you're actually building. Remember the limitations of the technology. But by God, it can augment. It will make you faster, higher quality, like just so much. And it can advise on human-centric work. But what's important is if we can automate the task work and augment the knowledge work, then we can free ourselves up for more human-centric work, which is what our organizations are so thirsty for. So when we start looking at healthy versus unhealthy use of AI, right? The healthy use of AI as it comes to task work is to automate and free up that human capacity. To do what? Well, we'll talk about that. The human-centric work. Well, what about knowledge work? Augment it. Don't completely trust it to AI outputs, right? Even like just go on the internet and look at how many hallucinations or whatever you want to call them, right? Even ChatGPT 5 that said it has reasoning, right? Like the fundamental, and I've talked to like various university professors that like research AI. If you automate it, you will lose. And by the way, those who quickly automated a lot of knowledge work at the beginning when Gen AI came out, they are coming today and reshaping their strategy around that. So right now, I'm telling you, healthy use of AI, automate task work, augment knowledge work, and use it as an advice for human-centric work. But if you do the first two, you'll have a lot more capacity for the human-centric work. And that, I believe, is what matters most. I hope we don't have to debate this, but AI has gotten a spot that isn't just an engineering topic anymore. It's a strategic topic. It touches all parts of the company, and it's going to require a meaningful shift in how we work. So, back to my race car analogy for a second. The organization is the car. The agility of the organization are the wheels. The value creation system is the engine in this metaphor. What AI is doing is taking that gas engine out, and I'm putting a freaking jet engine in there. Now, here's what happens though. The faster the engine that you have, it will magnify the weakness that you have, right? This is not going to make us, oh, you know what? If we put the jet engine, the tires don't really matter. They matter even more than before. Because without proper tires, a proper suspension, the frame being rock solid, you put a jet engine on a car without all those things solid, it will break down and crash. Without agility, AI turned speed into chaos. Now, let me explain this. I want you to imagine an organization where decision making is already slow. Okay, at human speed, yeah, that means slow approval, slow decision making. There's a lot of, put the monkey on someone else's shoulder. We get missed opportunities, but it's working at human speed. Put AI into the driver's seat, put that AI engine. And by the way, you're not the only one who has the engine. Everyone has the engine. It's super cheap, right? So insights arrive instantly. And if leaders can't make decisions, good decisions quickly, value evaporates even faster, right? Or let's say teams work in silos. Now, you accelerate the value streams with AI, you're going to create exponentially amount more waste in the system because you're not even aligned, right? Everyone's optimizing now faster than ever at their little locality. There's no optimization across the value stream, right? So, I mean, with more data, more automation, more speed, but without agility, that means more rework, more misalignment, and more risk. So if you're serious about AI, you can't just invest in the engine, in the tech of AI. You have to invest in the wheels, the suspension, the frame. The business agility is what ensures that the organization can handle the acceleration, the G-force that is put on that car when it's at that speed that AI will bring, right? And if you don't do that, it will spin out of control. So when we look at these domains of business agility, I mean, if this was in person, we'd do a physical exercise right now. It's like, which of these do we need to focus on? And every one of these, I can guarantee you, if you really look at and think about it, is like, this will be affected by AI. And if I don't have a solid sense and respond, or if I don't have a solid prioritization, oh my God, with the speed of agility, what's gonna with AI, what's gonna happen? We did the research for you, and it actually showed that there are 7 key capabilities that will break AI if you don't have it. All right, just to we don't have the time to go through all this right now, but Barbie, we'll give out the slides. People will have the slides. That's totally fine. You guys have a recording. You can pause here. But each of these capabilities before AI was tolerable. After AI will break. You will not get the benefits of AI if you don't have this infrastructure in place. There's mindsets behind these. Now we're talking about humans, folks. Remember, this is all going to come down to behaviors, like a growth mindset and fixed mindset, outcome-based mindset versus output-based mindset, systems thinking versus siloed thinking. These are things that are deeply ingrained in how we may be working today. I don't know your organization enough, right? But I'm going to give you an example of one. I want to really highlight the problem here. I want you to buy into to what I'm saying here. I'm just going to pick outcome-based versus output-based, right? This is a big outcomes and output are a really big deal in business agility. Let me explain it here. Many of us, when they have a goal or a problem, which is normal, right? Human nature, we're going to think of a solution, right? We start to think of solutions, whether as we're walking, as we're brainstorming in the shower, whatever it is, we think of solutions. And then we need to figure out, how do we get people to adopt this solution? What are the behaviors needed to enable this solution, right? Simple example, right? We have 8 million tons of plastic dumped into our oceans every year. Okay, we got a problem. All right, what are we going to do? Oh, I got an idea. We'll recycle. Okay, great. You just thought of the solution. Now I need to get human race to put their disposable, their plastics into that bin. I need to change the behaviors of people to fit the solution. This is what I'm calling output-based, solution-based. I think with the solution first. Contrast this to, I still have the same goal or problem, but now I first think of, what are the desired behavioral changes that I need to do? Then I think of a solution that helps me behave in those ways. Let me give you an example. Same problem, pollution in the ocean. Okay, but remember, I'm not going to start thinking about solutions first. I'm going to think about the behaviors. So when I think about behaviors, the first one I need to think about is who? Which audience am I talking about? So if I talk about kids, right? All right, what's the behavior I want for kids? Well, I want kids to, I don't know, carry reusable water bottles or have lunch containers instead of, back in our day, the brown bags and the bottled water and all that kind of stuff, right? Right? So that's what I want. Well, you know what? The blue recycling bin is not going to help them. So that's not the right solution. What is the solution that will help them behave in that way? Maybe it's a clip on your backpack for the water bottle, or a backpack with a built-in water bottle. Totally different way of thinking, right? Or even if you want kids to throw things in trash bins, you're not going to create the blue one. You're going to create one that looks different, that behaves different. That's very different than if I tell you my target audience is office professionals. Ooh, what do I want from them? Well, to reduce the pollution problem, I don't want them to print unnecessarily. Okay, that's a very different behavior. It's not about the blue recycling bin, right? I mean, here's the thing. The number one source of pollution in our oceans are actually cigarette filters, right? That's the number one source of non-biodegradable pollution in oceans. Now, if you understand that, the blue bin doesn't help in solving that problem. But if this is the desired behavior, I want smoking individuals between age and X and Y living beside the ocean, I want them to dispose of their cigarette butts, build a solution to make them behave that way. It's not going to be the blue bin. And so the question here is, what's in service of what, right? Is the solution in service of the behaviors, or is the behaviors in service of the solution, right? And this is really the difference between output-based mindset and outcome-based mindset. Now, I'm going to connect this in a second here, but let me give you the last example. We always, most of us, in many organizations I've seen, we start with output. We start with the thing we want to build. Our budgets are designed around output. Our plans are designed around output. Everything is designed around output. What are we building? And then human beings are fantastic at justifying. Well, the output is a book about Agile. Great. Who's it for? It will be for this and this. We're making things up right now, right? Versus flipping it and say, what is the outcome I want? Well, my target audience are business leaders who have not yet bought into the importance of agility. Great. What behavior do I want? I want them to become a champion. I want them to demand their recruiters to screen for an agile or growth mindset. I want to encourage more learning and more risk taking. Ooh, I don't think a book will do that, right? It's not about a book anymore. It's about what will actually drive those behaviors, right? And that's the difference between outcome based and output based and outcome based. Output based is about definitive thinking. Outcome based is about generative thinking. And this is now the key when you start looking at AI, right? If you are still in the output way of thinking, then to build a book, you build chapters, you build little pieces of it, and you're gonna, and with AI, I'm gonna build faster than ever. Now, an outcome base says, I'm thinking differently. It's not about the book, it's about the behavior of sharing an important idea. So I'm gonna write a blog post and share it. And you know what? The blog post is gonna give me quick feedback. I'm gonna write a short article. But now I can also do that quickly. And so I can achieve my outcome much quicker. All right, I know we're running out of time here. So just to summarize, this was one example of one mindset, just to show you, without this mindset, with speed, you're just gonna generate more crap, right? Like it's not of value, right? So speed is not the game. Efficiency is not just, there are fundamental mindsets we have to do. I hope by now I can get you to agree to this. Just like AI is now core to strategy, business agility is now core to culture. And I'll end by explaining what culture is in my head, right? And I don't know if you can see my camera here, but my camera, I have a rubber band up, right? Or a hair thingy. But this is how I view culture. Culture is like a rubber band that is shaped by the elements inside of it: leadership, strategy, structure, process, and people, right? It does two things, that rubber band. It keeps the elements in place, but it's also shaped by those elements. It takes the shape of those elements. Now, changing culture is dangerous, and it's an art. And here's why. Most change of culture starts with pushing one of these wedges into a different direction. You know what? We're going to change our process. We're going to be more agile. We're going to be more whatever it is, right? And so you're pushing the process out. You think you're changing culture, but you're actually straining your culture. And the key word here is you're creating resistance. That resistance. The moment that champion moves out of the org, guess what the rubber band will do? Things go back to normal, right? Once you hear the word resistance, I want you to ask yourselves, what's out of whack? What's not aligned? Am I asking people to work in a collaborative process, but I don't reward collaboration? Or am I asking people to do this, but this is not? All of those things come into play as you affect culture. And the key thing to understand is this, that there are non-human elements and human elements. And the problem becomes when we start looking at the non-human elements, strategy, structure, and process, as the elements of change. Because at that point, what you want is you put changes in strategy, structure, and process, and you want humans to comply to that. Does that sound familiar? That's output-based thinking. Versus, you change the humans. You change their mindsets. You change the hearts and minds, and then you let them figure out the strategy, the structure, and processes that will help them maintain that new mindset more than ever. I know we're out of time, and I want to end just with this sort of vision of the future. In the near future, artificial intelligent agents or robots, and by the way, the industry is calling them now artificials. Artificials are going to be part of work. I think that's going to be part of it, whether they're digital agents or actual physical. The best organizations in the world will be the ones that are on lift ups, not layoffs. Like, you got to lift up your people. It's about augmentation, not automation and replacement. In these organizations, AI is viewed as a force multiplier, not just for productivity, but it amplifies what makes us humans, our ability to create, to connect, to care, to decide, to be creative. Every person becomes more valuable, not less, right? But this only happens when the organization itself is agile enough to adapt, reorganize, and reprioritize. Not once, but continuously. Guys, the speed of change is unbelievable. iPhones come out every year. Processors used to come out every 2 years. AI models come out every 2 weeks. Just let that soak in. Business agility is what allows us to use AI and for AI to find its rightful place in service of people, not in control of them, right? And to keep up with all this change, it's not about training, it's about transforming. Transformational learning becomes our engine of growth. It's about rewiring how we think, how we work, and how we grow. I believe this is a future worth fighting for, a future where AI, tying this all the way back, ultimately is there to serve the customer by empowering and augmenting us, the human. Team, thank you very much.
Well done, Ahmed.
And sorry for taking 4 extra minutes.
No, it is very much valued, worthwhile use of our time. And I know we are 3 minutes over, but I still see over 100 folks on the call. Thank you. This has been a very thought-provoking, insightful talk. I've never had this many light bulb moments in the span of time you talked through this. So for those of you who'd like to stay for a minute or so, we can probably have a question. If someone has a question, you okay to stay for
Yeah,
5 minutes?
I'm chill.
Ahmed?
Yeah.
All right, does anybody have a question for Ahmed?
I hope this was helpful, folks. Again, I'm not here just to like really think about all this. I really hope this is helpful. It gives you some perspective to what's coming and why this is so important.
I'll speak for everybody. This was beyond helpful, Ahmed. This was amazing. I'm getting a lot of positive feedback, not just on the chat, but some folks are pinging me. Eager to hear the recording. We are going to post the deck. We are going to post the recording. It looks like we do have a question.
We have a question.
Sook, yes. He's calling from London, so it's late in his time. Thank you for
staying,
hanging in there with us.
It was well worth it, Ahmed. Really appreciate that. Yes, I really am fascinated by this, and I want to know what is it that we can do, because it's all about behavior change.
Yes.
And agility is the outcome,
Yeah.
and that's really what we've got to be focusing on. So, what would be your final say so on what we can actually do to help?
Oh God. Okay.
Behavior and their habits, because we are driven by habits. We're people.
We are.
And we need to move those habits into different habits, and change is a pain, and that's what we've got to overcome.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's so much to talk about here, but let me try to give you a quick answer here. So when we look at all the different behaviors that we can sort of engage in, right? And you're right, it is all about behavioral change. If I were to boil them down, and I would say a lot of these behaviors stem from different mindsets that people have, right? The most important mindsets I tried to put on this slide right here. Let me try to pull up the slide here, right? I believe these mindsets, Sook, are critical. The growth versus fixed mindset, the outcome versus output mindset, the systems versus siloed sort of mindset or thinking. A big one with the AI, by the way, is going to be this composer versus creator or doer mindset. Because our job is going to change from doing things to composing, right? We're not going to play the instrument anymore. We're going to be the composers, right? So I would say start maybe reading about these, learning about these, and see where is your growth needed. I'll give you a shortcut for one of them, the outcome versus output. I'm going to give you something practical, everyone here. Before you do anything, ask 2 questions. Who is this for? And what behavior do we want to change? And do not accept the customer or broad populations of people as an answer, right? Get very specific about the segment you're talking about the motivation you're addressing. And number two is saying, what behavior do we need to change, right? What is successful behavioral change? You can apply this with products with your customer, internal change, anything, even your kids, right? These two questions will make a really big difference.
Thank you, Ahmed. Thank you. Great question. So we are 7 minutes over, and I look forward to meeting you in person. Ahmed,
Yeah,
after
yeah,
this.
yeah.
Fantastic job. I speak for the entire community. Thank you, everybody, for joining us and staying extra. This is valuable time spent. I learned so much, and I echo one of the comments there where so much to think about. I'm going to rewatch this recording, but thank you, everybody. Really appreciate your time, and pleasure to have you, Ahmed.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Ahmed.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.